Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Together we are two of the Office Blokes.
Yep.
It is true. Office Bloke
Man
Daz.
down again.
I don't know where he is actually. He just said he was off.
Is he? Oh, right. What, like a egg out of date?
Yeah, just bad
Just off.
smell. So yeah, just off in general. I know that people come to us for hip hop news, and
Why wouldn't they?
they do because we're an authority on hip hop news and rap news. We are part of the culture, and in some ways, we dictate the culture. So
Right up there, honestly. We're right up there.
yeah, but I mean, something that's happened over this weekend is someone has been arrested and charged for Tupac's murder.
Wow. That's a long time coming, isn't it?
27 years.
27 years now, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
Incredible.
loads of documentaries. We've reacted to. Did Infographics do it? We did like an animated
Possibly
thing,
they may
didn't
have done. Yeah.
And I don't know much about it. I don't know who the guy is. I presume he's a rapper or something.
I think he does.
He's got a name like something D or like,
yeah, I think he does
sounds
that.
like
It's
a
not
rap name,
it's
doesn't
not
it?
like one of the most well-known ones, I don't think, is he? But I think he was in the same industry and
Yeah.
wasn't he, by all accounts.
But I think
So-
there was a lot of speculation that it was the cops that did it, wasn't it?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's what it said on the thing we watched.
Yeah.
It.
Right. Oh, can't remember now.
Yeah, I
It's
think
been
it was
a while.
off duty or undercover
Yeah.
cops or something. But
yeah.
interesting, but I've just managed to find a video, hopefully explaining who it is and what he's been arrested for and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah. I grew up listening to Tupac before I got into metal.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, really?
yeah, Tupac and Ice Cube were
Yeah,
literally my
huge
two
stars.
favourite. Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. Nice. Well, let's check it out. Suspect arrested in Tupac Shakur's murder. Let's go for it.
We want to take you now to Las Vegas, where police are speaking after a Las Vegas jury indicted a man connected to the 1996 death of rapper Tupac Shakur. Let's watch.
Investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It is far from over. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our homicide section to get to where we are today. Several of those detectives that are standing here with us include Detective Cliff Mogg, the lead detective on this case. He is now retired. While I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case. It was not the case back then, and it is not the case today. Our goal at LVMPD has always been to hold those accountable and responsible for Tupac's violent murder accountable. Just like we do.
He's hyped up, this guy, isn't he?
He is a bit. It looks like he's just coming from a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit.
I didn't realise they'd come under criticism, people saying that you're not trying to solve the crime.
But, I mean, you can understand why, though. I mean, if 27 years, you think,
Well,
it is a long time to wait for... I mean, not even solved it yet.
No.
At the moment, let's be clear, it's just an arrest at the moment, isn't it? So
No, it's charged. He's been charged.
Well, yeah, it's charged, but obviously...
Which I think, well, they said a jury indicted him. So I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know if that
Right,
means... I don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah. Right, okay.
But either way, if it's a federal case, I think when they actually get to court, they've got something like a 95% conviction rate or something.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It's one of them where you cut a deal.
Yeah.
Because they're
It's
going to
been
get you.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It is a long time still.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the evidence was, or, you know,
How it all
I
came
hope they get
together.
into it.
Well, hopefully when there's a conclusion further down the line, I'm guessing they'll do some sort of documentary on it, and
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
all the evidence will come out, won't it? I'm guessing so.
Yeah.
Or even the court case.
I think
so.
court's publicised in the States, isn't it? They allow cameras into court and stuff, so...
I think they do. I don't know if it's the same across the board in all states, but I'm guessing it is. But obviously, guys out there will let us know if that is the case. But I think normally
Yeah.
they do televise it, don't they?
I think we'll hear a lot about this.
Oh, I
as
think
it
so. Yeah, well, it's going to be a
unfolds.
huge story.
Yeah.
For every homicide victim in our city, every single victim, every life that is lost is important and remains a priority to this police department. As we methodically built this case to move forward with an arrest, it was also important that at the same time, we're building towards a successful prosecution. We work closely with our esteemed District Attorney, Steve Wolfson, in his office to ensure that is going to happen. Mr. Davis's own words reinvigorated our case in 2018. I'm going to give you some of those details, and I'm going to introduce to you our homicide lieutenant, Jason Johansson, and he will provide you many of the details on how we got here today. Lieutenant.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Jason Johansson, and I'm the Homicide Lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And my goal here today is to walk you through our investigation and what led us to the indictment of Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur. This case has been reviewed by our homicide team and homicide detectives for over 2.5 decades. And ultimately, our persistence in this investigation has paid off. Let me walk you through a timeline of events that as we know them right now. Prior to September 7th of 1996, as we all know, Tupac Shakur was an artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips. And both of these gangs operated out of the Southern California area of Compton. On the night of September 7th of 1996, Tupac Shakur, along with Suge Knight and members of their entourage, which include members of Mob Piru, came to Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Members of the Southside Compton Crips, which included Dwayne Davis, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson, were also in attendance at the same event. As both were leaving the fight, members of Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator bank inside the MGM, and at that time they began to kick and punch him near that elevator bank. I will now show you hotel security footage, as many of you have already seen, related to this incident. And on this incident, you will see Tupac Shakur, who's wearing a shiny satiny shirt, along with Marion Suge Knight, who's a large man in a brown suit, punching and kicking Orlando Anderson.
Wow.
Following this incident, you'll see hotel security intervene, and then they will leave the area of the fight.
Shouldn't be kicking and stamping on people while they're on the floor.
No, it's a bit, not great, is it? But
It was quite a few guys on one guy there.
Yeah.
Of it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what the build-up was. I know it was like a rival gang and stuff.
I'm guessing it's just because they are rival gangs, and maybe it's been words in the past. I'm guessing there has been, a
So
bit of a...
You've just got to go then if you see one of them.
Yeah,
You've just got to do it.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, I know it was pinned on Suge Knight for a long time, wasn't it?
Was it? Right,
I've
okay.
watched a documentary about that because apparently people said that he was fueling the beef between like the East Coast and the West Coast sort of rappers,
Yeah.
and it was better for selling records, and it did shifted a lot of albums.
Yeah,
all this sort of drama.
I bet it did. Yeah, well, like when there's these feuds going on in pop music, it's happened before, not to maybe this extent, but
Yeah,
it can happen. Publicity wise, it can help, can't it? So I
Yeah.
guess so.
yeah.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Following this incident, Tupac and Suge Knight both left the MGM to make their way to a post-fight party, which was to occur at a local nightclub. At the same time, word had spread amongst members of the Southside Compton Crips of what had occurred inside the MGM. And then that's when Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson. After Davis obtained a gun, he entered into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Based on our investigation, this is where we know they were seated.
He's the only one still alive.
Wow, he looks like
Jesus.
Wow. Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? But I suppose when you live in that sort of world where it's sort of gang violence, and if someone comes for one of your guys, you've got to go for one of their guys, and then it's
serious stuff, because I mean, you know, the
doesn't
rappers and the famous and they'll make a lot of money, but it is a real thing as well, isn't it? All the angst and all the, you know, the drama they have against each other, it is really real, isn't it?
You see how many, like, even when we were reacting to music quite a lot, how many young rappers have been killed and shot in the past 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
Still a common occurrence, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's sad.
At some point in time, as they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle. As they were as they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval, they located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and in the passenger seat was Tupac Shakur. And as they turned around, they pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur. Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval, and after our officers arrived on scene, Tupac was later transported to the University Medical Center, where he was treated medically and died approximately 6 days later on September 13th. My homicide section handled this investigation from its onset and for a short amount of time. And within a short amount of time, what we knew was that we were working a gang investigation where our victims, our witnesses, and our suspects were all from Southern California and not local to Las Vegas. Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward and present it for criminal charges.
Wow.
As time went on, this case had been reviewed multiple times by different investigators assigned to my section, but it wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional information came to light related to this homicide. Specifically, Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets. In our section, we knew at this time that this was likely our last time to take a run at this case to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge. It was at that time that this case was assigned to Cliff Mogg, a detective within my homicide section. And over the last 5 years, my section worked closely, hand in hand with the Clark County District Attorney's Office, and followed a systematic investigative plan. We've conducted countless interviews and corroborated numerous facts that were not only consistent with the crime scene on the night of the incident, but also corroborated and were consistent with the sequence of events that night. This ultimately led to us procuring a search warrant which was executed at Mr. Davis's residence in Henderson, Nevada. And following the execution of that search warrant, in close coordination with the District Attorney's Office, this case was presented to the grand jury, which ultimately led to Davis being indicted on charges of murder. Before I hand it off to the District Attorney's Office, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Detective Mogg and all the other detectives that were not only assigned this case and reviewed this case, but all the other detectives from other agencies that assisted us in this investigation. They know who they are, and thank you very much for all the assistance you provided. It does not go unnoticed. And lastly, one of the most important things, in my opinion, is we need to make this be a reminder that the charge of murder does not have a statute of limitations. This agency has been and is invested in solving our cold case homicides so that we can bring closure to those families and justice for those victims of homicide. And with that, I will turn it over to the Clark County District Attorney, Steve Wilson.
So even after that guy obviously said something to news outlets or whatever, it's still like 5 years after, because it's 2018, wasn't it?
I guess whatever he's said, they've then got to try and verify and have evidence to back it up. To
I guess so, yeah.
It's not just chatting pants.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of evidence you can get from a search warrant on his property this many years later.
You wouldn't have thought that murder weapon would be there or anything like that, would you? I mean,
No.
that would be long gone, I would guess. So,
Unless it's got diaries or something talking
well,
about that he did it.
it'd be interesting to see what the actual evidence is then, how
Yeah.
they've gathered it, but I'm sure it'll become clear.
I sort of heard someone allude to the fact that this guy may have written a book and talked about it, but I don't
right,
know.
okay.
Like, I don't know if that's true or not. I just literally saw like a 5-second reel of someone saying something.
It'd be a bit odd, wouldn't it?
But I mean, living that life, people, it's all about reputation and stuff, isn't it?
Maybe he's written a book in the third person as to, it wasn't me, but
That's what
I don't know.
What's his face did, wasn't it? Oh my god! I've
go on,
got
Dave, it's there somewhere.
Jesus, I bet people are shouting it at the screen now. OJ,
Oh, right, O.J. Simpson.
yeah,
Right.
He wrote a book allegedly about
About what happened, but not being him,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Jesus, that was hard.
Thank you, Lieutenant Johansson. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. I am the Las Vegas, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson. It has often been said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's a quote we hear often and for many, many years when talking about our legal system, but not in this case. Today, justice will be served in the murder of Tupac Shakur. I'd like to acknowledge the relentless work of the many Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detectives. We've mentioned Detective Cliff Mogg many times, and we can't mention his name enough. He is the detective, along with his colleagues, that brought this case here today to you. A Clark County grand jury has indicted Dwayne Keith Davis with 1 count of open murder with use of a deadly weapon with a gang enhancement. Davis will appear in court in the next few days or so for a hearing to determine his custody status and to set a jury trial date. This grand jury has been receiving evidence for months and has determined there is sufficient evidence to justify the filing of this criminal indictment. I've assigned 2 of my top prosecutors, Mark DiGiacomo and Banu Palal, to prosecute this case. I know a lot of people have been watching and waiting for this day. Tupac Shakur is a music legend, and for a long time, this community and worldwide have been wanting justice for Tupac. Today, we are taking that first step. Tupac was actually quoted as saying, "Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside while still alive. Never surrender." Well, we didn't surrender thanks to the great work of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department under the leadership of Sheriff Kevin McMahill, Lieutenant Johansson, retired Detective Cliff Mogg. I am proud to announce the return of this document. This is the indictment we've been waiting almost 3 decades for. It spells out the facts and circumstances and what justifies a Clark County grand jury in returning an indictment. Justice will be served. Thank you.
I reckon he's done for.
They seem pretty confident, don't they?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Tupac was also quoted saying, "Live by the gun, die by the gun."
oh, was he?
Yeah, that was another thing
wow,
he said, which is
yeah.
a bit of foreshadowing for what was going
It
to
is a
happen.
little
to
bit,
him,
isn't it?
wasn't
Yeah, but yeah, it's really interesting that just that it's actually happening now.
Yeah.
After so many years. Like I say, I mean, I think I've read before or seen before that I think the police did have a good idea of what had happened, but I think gang culture and people surrounding it is to just get silence. I think, don't you? A lot of the time, I think
yeah.
trying to get evidence, trying to get people to talk, is pretty much impossible, isn't it? Because of the fear of retribution on themselves as well.
Yeah.
If they start saying, "Oh, I know who it was," because there'd be no doubt there'd be a load of people that would have known who it was, but
Yeah.
just no evidence, and no one probably would come forward to.
Are you
pin him.
willing to testify in court? No.
Yeah, against like a gang member that's
Yeah.
just killed someone. You know what I mean?
Plus, it's like if you're part of a gang or whatever, and then you have heard about it and you go and testify, that's the end of your life, as you know
Yeah.
it as well.
Absolutely. Then they'd be worrying about the families as well, things like that. So it's it's just a
It's
fear
interesting.
of it.
Interesting that 3 of them are dead, though. And I
Yeah.
wonder if it was an open secret in certain communities, what happened if they got targeted, and
Yeah.
that's why they're not around.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think these things just end, do they? Well,
No.
they obviously don't. They're back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I think I might have, I don't know if it's with us guys watching it or whether it's just something I've seen at home like ages ago, maybe a couple of years or so ago. I think I saw something, it sort of rings a bell now, it's sort of coming back to me about the people that in the case that they thought it was that have died, because there's 3 of them there.
I've not seen that before.
Yeah,
I don't think it was something we reacted to.
Well, as soon as I saw that, it sort of started coming back to me, thinking, I'm sure I may have seen something about that before, actually, about suspects in the case that had died. And I don't think it was ill health that they died through either,
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It's huge news, though, isn't it?
It is
Especially
massive
in,
huge, yeah. I mean, he probably one of the biggest stars in the world of music, wasn't he, at the time?
I was
Without a doubt.
only 10, so it kind of passed me by. But then, I say passed me by, but I started listening to Tupac when I was about probably 11, I think, because I started getting into metal when I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I just listened to like Ice Cube and Tupac and a few other rappers for maybe
Yeah.
2-3 years obsessively.
Got to learn the swear words and moved on to something a bit heavier.
Yeah, then moved into something more violent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. But-
interesting one that though. Let us know what you
Yeah.
think. If there's any other knowledge, I did see somehow P Diddy's name was implicated in it as well.
Ah, right, okay.
But I don't know. Again, that's one of those like either I saw a headline over the weekend or an Instagram reel
Yeah.
or something. I
Right,
don't know.
well, we'll wait till anything comes out about that before we comment
yeah.
on.
So if you
anything
guys
like that, I think
know anything about that, just comment below. Let us know more
Yeah.
about it. And I think
Interesting, we'll keep tabs on it anyway.
this guy's getting locked up.
It doesn't sound good for him, does it, really, going off what I've been hearing there? So, yeah, but like I say, we'll keep watching it anyway and see what
definitely.
happens.
Right,
Yeah.
cheers for that one, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you soon.
Cheers.